Everyone thinks political ruin is the end. For Cicero, it was just the beginning of a profound transformation. In 58 BC, Marcus Tullius Cicero, Rome's most celebrated orator and a formidable statesman, found his world collapsing. A sudden, brutal decree banished him from the city he loved and served, stripping him of property, status, and family. It was a fall from grace that would test the very foundations of his being. Cicero's exile wasn't a quiet retreat. It was a violent uprooting, orchestrated by his political rival, Publius Clodius Pulcher, a man driven by personal vendetta and ruthless ambition. The charge, illegally executing conspirators during the Catilinarian conspiracy years prior, a move Cicero had once celebrated as saving the Republic. Overnight, Cicero became a fugitive. His home on the Palatine Hill was razed, his property confiscated, his wife Terentia and children left vulnerable. He fled Rome, embarking on a painful journey through Italy and into Greece, a man without a country, grappling with the crushing weight of despair and self-pity. His letters from this period are heartbreaking. He wrote of tears, constant grief, and a sense of utter destruction. He confessed to feeling like a ghost, a shadow of his former self. This wasn't the image of the Stoic sage we often imagine. It was raw, human suffering. But within this period of intense suffering, something began to shift. Alone, stripped of all external validation, Cicero was forced inward. He began to confront his own philosophy, not as an academic pursuit, but as a desperate lifeline. He had studied Stoicism, but now he had to live it. Stoicism, at its core, teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. Cicero, having lost control over his political fate, his home, his reputation, was now faced with the stark reality that the only thing truly within his power was his mind, his judgments, and his character. He began to write, not just letters of lament, but philosophical treatises. He channeled his anguish into intellectual output, finding solace and purpose in the very act of creation. This was a crucial step in transforming his pain into meaning. He reflected on the impermanence of external goods, power, wealth, public acclaim. These were the very things he had chased, and the very things that had been so cruelly snatched away. He began to internalize the Stoic lesson that true happiness comes from virtue, not from external circumstances. One of the most powerful Stoic concepts is the idea of amor fati, the love of fate. It's not passive acceptance, but an active embrace of everything that happens, recognizing it as part of the grand design, even the hardships. Cicero, in his exile, began to grapple with this idea. He couldn't change his banishment, but he could change his response to it. He could choose to let it destroy him, or he could choose to use it as an opportunity for growth, for deeper philosophical understanding. This was the turning point. His correspondence gradually shifted. While the pain never fully vanished, a thread of resilience, a growing acceptance, began to weave through his words. He found strength not in denying his suffering, but in acknowledging it and then consciously choosing how to proceed. This period of forced introspection, away from the clamor of the forum, allowed him to reevaluate his priorities. He understood that true wealth lay not in public office or grand villas, but in his inner character, his intellect, and the love of his family and friends, however distant they were. After 16 agonizing months, the political tides in Rome finally shifted. Public sentiment, swayed by his allies and perhaps by the sheer injustice of his exile, turned in his favor. A decree was passed, recalling Cicero to Rome. His return was triumphant. He was greeted by cheering crowds, his property restored, his status reaffirmed. Yet he was not the same man who had fled in despair. The exile had stripped him bare, but in doing so, had revealed an inner strength he might never have discovered otherwise. Cicero's exile serves as a powerful testament to the transformative power of adversity. It illustrates that even the greatest minds, when faced with catastrophic loss, can find profound resilience by turning inward and embracing the principles of Stoicism. His story reminds us that while we cannot always control the events that befall us, we always have control over our response. We can choose despair, or we can choose to find meaning, grow, and build inner fortitude. In our own lives, when our world feels like it's crumbling, perhaps we can look to Cicero. We can ask ourselves, what external elements have I placed too much value on? What inner resources can I cultivate when everything else is stripped away? The challenges we face, whether personal or professional, are not merely obstacles. They are often disguised opportunities for deeper self-discovery, for testing our philosophies, and for forging a more resilient, more virtuous character. Cicero's exile didn't break him, it refined him. It forced him to embody the very wisdom he preached, proving that even in the darkest political ruin, the light of Stoic resilience can shine brightest. Explore another historical figure who found strength in adversity in our next reflection.